Okay, how's it going, everybody? So today we're going to read some Karl Marx. This is from November 1877. It's Letters and Essays. Let's see. This is from the book called Letters and Essays on Political Sociology. This is Russia's Pattern of Development. It says by Karl. Well, actually, no, never mind. This one is just Marx to the editorial board of the. You all hear me mess Russian words up here if you listen to the channel. But it says Oteshestvenie Zapiski. Fatherland Notes is what it means. So, yeah, this came out November 1877. He wrote this in London. And there appears to be two parts here, so we'll go ahead and get into this first part. Let's go ahead. The author of the article, quote, Karl Marx, before the tribunal of Mr. Sukovsky, end quote, is evidently a clever man. And, if in my account a primitive accumulation, he had found a single passage to support his conclusions, he would have quoted it. In the absence of any such passage, he finds himself obliged to seize upon an hors d'oeuvre of a sort of polemic against a Russian, quote, literary man, end quote, published in the appendix to the first German edition of Capital. What is my complaint against this writer here? That he discovered the Russian community not in Russia, but in the book written by Haxtalson, Prussian Counselor of State, and that in his hands the Russian community only serves as an argument to prove that rotten old Europe should be regenerated by a victory of Pan-Slavism. My estimate of this writer may be right or it may be wrong, but it cannot in any case furnish a clue to my views regarding the efforts of, quote, of Russians to find a path of development for their country, which will be different from that which Western Europe pursued and still pursues, end quote, etc. In the afterword to the second German edition of Capital, which the author of the article on Mr. Sukovsky knows, because he quotes it, I speak of a, quote, great Russian scholar and critic, end quote. End quote. With the high consideration he deserves. In his remarkable articles, this writer has dealt with the question whether, as her liberal economists maintain, Russia must begin by destroying the village community in order to pass to the capitalist regime, or whether, on the contrary, she can, without experiencing the tortures of this regime, appropriate all its fruits by developing the historical conditions specifically her own. He pronounces in favor of this latter solution. And my honorable critic would have at least as much reason for inferring from my consideration for this, quote, great Russian scholar and critic, end quote, that I shared his views on the question as for concluding from my polemic against the, quote, literary man, end quote, and Pan-Slavist that I rejected him. To conclude, as I am not fond of leaving, quote, anything to guesswork, end quote, I shall come straight to the point in order that I might be specially qualified to estimate the economic development in Russia. I learned Russian, and then for many years studied the official publications and others bearing on this subject. I have arrived at this conclusion. If Russia continues to pursue the path she has followed since 1861, she will lose the finest chance ever offered by history to a people, and undergo all the fatal vicissitudes of the capitalist regime. Okay. So that's the first section. There's going to be another section that we'll get into as well. I bet Lenin read this. And I bet Lenin read it really close to his eyes because, Lenin was all about Marx and what Marx had to say and how to apply it to Russia. So that's the first section of that. We'll come back with this is Russia's pattern of development. We'll come back with the second part. Well, thank y'all for tuning in. Facebook, Twitter, Medium, Tumblr, Marxist Saw, and then YouTube, Marxist Saw. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. We're trying to get the channel going with more and more. Please take advantage of it, being able to hear it if you're busy doing stuff in the car, driving, or maybe cleaning the house, or even trying to go to sleep. Go ahead and, just at least hear, at least listen to, what it is. If you can't sit there and physically hold the book, it's go right ahead and get into it. It's all here. Scroll through and find something you like. So, thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a great day. And, do daragoy.